Assets under management done right versus AUM done wrong. All recurring and fee revenue is not created equally. But once you understand the points of leverage, you can maximize your AUM for both your benefit and your client's benefit. Hey, welcome back to the Rare Advisor. As I mentioned on the previous 3 videos, the last 2 being backed by popular demand, because I've been talking through the teeter-totters, the push buttons, if you will, in terms of what's inside your practice and what creates the most value, and will increase your profitability. So this is kind of like a recipe to running your practice and doing so for value. So today, I'm coming back to wrap that little mini series up, and I'm going to talk to you most specifically about assets under management done right versus assets under management done wrong. So AUM done right versus AUM done wrong. If you do not have a copy of our Blue Book report, it's the Advisor Blue Book report. I had to glance over here at the name of it. Sorry about that. Our Advisor Blue Book report, if you've not gotten a copy of that yet, reach out to USA Financial, just buzz us up, send us an email, give us a call, whatever works for you. Don't really care, but just ask for one of the business development consultants, and they will get you hooked up with this, and they'll shoot it out to you. They'll follow up with you. They'll talk to you about it. It's a great tool to really benchmark, have a measuring stick against your practice, not only from a valuation perspective, but also to identify what are the things I should be doing in this business to inflate profitability. Because I'll tell you one thing that's kind of a little known secret about the financial services industry and advisory practices, and that is this. Most businesses, most industries do not have the luxury that we have, that what is best for their balance sheet is also best for their P&L statement. Most businesses can't say that. Oftentimes what happens is what's best for the P&L works against the balance sheet, or vice versa. So for us, you could also throw the third part of that triangle in there, is what's best for the client. What's best for the client is what's best for the P&L statement, which is also what's best for the balance sheet. It's a trifecta. And it makes me love this business, because if you're doing the right thing for the right reasons, you will be rewarded handsomely in the long run. So, little PR stop for why we all love what we do in the financial advice world. With that being said, I'm going to share the screen. Please take a look. Get a hold of that report. If you have it, you might want to pull it out in front of you. Otherwise, I'll walk you through what I call the teeter-totter pages. So a bunch of quick hit items that make you identify or make you think about how you're running your practice. All right, so here we are. AUM done right versus AUM done wrong. Now, the secret's been out a little bit, by the way, and one of the reasons so many people are asking me to come back and talk about this is because we did a webinar unrelated to the Rare series, and a webinar that was about an hour long. And one of the things that Matt Eilers and Steve Phillips, 2 of our exec team, talked about on that was the 2020 earnings growth that was experienced by USA Financial Advisors. So this is a list of the top 40. Obviously, the names are blacked out for protection. But during the pandemic, this group averaged a revenue growth rate of 5.2%. It means their income from 2020 over 2019 on average went up by over 5%, which sounds great, especially during a pandemic. But keep in mind, normally what we look at is a 3-year growth rate. And this group, including the year 2020, including the pandemic, so this is 2018, 19, and 20, this group averaged 185% increase in their revenue over those 3 years. So imagine what this blue column would look like if it were not for the pandemic. But even with the pandemic in there, they still came in at an average of 185%. So then everybody says, well, how in the world did you do that? Well, first of all, it's the sweet spot of USA Financial. It's what we do really well, showing advisors how to get to that next level and then sustain it and do it again and again and again. That's just something that we focus on here at USA Financial. I'm really proud of how well we are at it. The proof's in the numbers, right? So it's a great reward for us to see that and for our team. But that led to the conversations that I mentioned before about these teeter-totter items. And what we do is a value gap analysis for every advisor who works with us, and we dig deep into that value gap analysis and we find out how does their business stack up in all these various categories. And this is just a sampling. This is just an idea to make you wet your whistle and think about how you might be addressing certain things in your business. Now, there's a whole lot more we could talk about. I'm just going to zero in on some items, mostly related to assets under management for today's discussion. So the first thing I want to bring to your attention is the fact, which I'm sure you already know this, so I won't dwell on it, but that recurring revenue over time is much more valuable to you than transactional revenue. So recurring revenue brings an uptick in your business and an uptick in your profitability over time. Now, some people will say, well, wait a second, Mike, but on my commissionable or my transactional business, that's more profitable to me when it occurs that first year. And yes, it very well might be, depending on what you're selling, but for the odds are, yes, it is. However, as soon as you get paid that one time, you're done getting paid on that. And over the life of that piece of business, let's say 5, 7, 10, 15, 20 years, assets under management would have been much more valuable to you over time. It's not front-end loaded. It's even stream, it's not even really back-end loaded. It's just evenly loaded, if you will. But the upfront might not be as big, but the long term is better. So the way I explain recurring revenue is versus transactional revenue is like a sports car. You can get in it at the beginning of the first of the year, January 1st. I jump in, I hit the gas pedal, I can scream this thing down the highway. But next year, I got to get back in. I got to hit the gas pedal again and again and again and again. That's transactional revenue. On the recurring revenue side, it's more like a train. And each year I get to add cars to the train. But on January 1st, my train's just as big as it was at the end of last year. And it's got all those cars stacked on it. And I get to add more and more cars as I go through. So the weight and the freight and the momentum of this thing just picks up over time and you create this mountain effect. So that's the value of recurring revenue. Keep in mind, if somebody's looking to buy your business, they don't want to buy your job. They do want to buy your business. Recurring revenue is a business, and that's the value of it. It takes you out of the salesmanship category, out of the sole proprietor category, and it drops you into the business category. Huge point to understand with assets under management. Now, I know that's basic, and I'm probably preaching to the choir, but I wanted to get that on the table first. Now, next, this one, many people have a hard time swallowing this pill, and I'm okay with that. And I get why you might want to disagree with me in terms of the running of your business in this category, but just understand what that means to you. So, because this is a personal choice, it's a business choice, it's a lifestyle choice, but many advisors want to be a rep as PM, rep as portfolio manager. They want to decide what to invest in and out of the models and the portfolios on behalf of their clients. And you can do that, but the problem is that really is driving down the value of your business. Now, when I say driving it down, I mean in comparison to if you were using third-party portfolio management to the right. And the reason is what I said a moment ago. No one wants to buy your job, but they do want to buy your business. If your rep is PM, somebody has to climb inside your head. They have to figure out what you're doing, why you're doing it, how are you making those human decisions as to what should or should not be in the portfolio, and then updating that periodically over the course of the year, versus the scalability of working with solid third-party asset managers. Now all I have to need to do is get more and more assets into the system, onto the table, into the practice, and the third-party asset management takes care of it. And there's probably some definitions according to what they're doing, how they're doing, why they're doing it. And I eliminate a big part of that. I also don't have to man it up, right? I don't have to pay other people to run that for me if I buy your business as an outsider. Or for you, as you want to slow down and scale back, you don't have to replace and hire somebody to do that. Third-party asset management is kind of doing that for you. Versus rep as PM, I have to fill a void somehow, some way, at some point in time down the road. It's inevitable. I have to fill a void. Third-party asset management, don't have to fill the void. In fact, I can even change third-party asset managers. If I don't like how some of them are operating, I can swap them around and it doesn't hurt me. In fact, I can hold that up in front of the client as a huge benefit. I have an unbiased relationship with these third-party asset managers. I can move them around. My job is to be your coach, to be the coach on the sideline and put the players in and out of the field as needed, right? I am your CFO. I am here to represent you. So that's how that fits together. Now, even when you're in the recurring revenue conversation, now I'm going to this box here. Even when I'm in the recurring revenue conversation, not all recurring revenue is created equally. So assets under management, SMA accounts, even direct accounts, those are valued higher than, say, 12B1 fees, because the 12B1 fee isn't truly asset management. There isn't as much value there, and the profit margins, the spread, isn't the same. So even though the dollars cash the same, the way those dollars get generated is different. And what you'll find is, if someone's really going to piece things apart, recurring revenue isn't recurring revenue isn't recurring revenue. It's not all the same. There are different layers of recurring revenue. And again, the asset management side, the SMA side, that side is going to be valued higher than, say, 12B1s. And you could have the same conversation here. Similar concept, just illustrated with a slightly different example. TAMP and UMA business is going to be viewed higher than brokerage investment accounts. No matter how those brokerage investment accounts may be throwing off recurring revenue, TAMP business and UMA business, where I can now manage multiple asset managers on the same platform with a click of a button, I can build an entire portfolio inside of an account. I don't have to have all these multiple accounts going on. All of that makes that asset higher valued. So when I say that asset, I mean that piece of your practice. It comes in with a higher valuation than the other pieces of your practice, even though they might also be recurring revenue. So again, you're starting to sense a theme here. The more it's built on systems and processes, more you're joint venturing with the outside asset management world, the more value that creates inside of your practice for how it will get valued. I will argue, same answer exists on your P&L statement. Meaning, the more you're doing the things we just talked about, the easier it is to run your practice, and those outside organizations are carrying administrative load on your behalf that you might not even be currently recognizing. But it's saving you from hiring people and staff to do all the heavy lifting. So that creates a better P&L for you, because now the margins and the spread that you're charging for your assets under management, for your fees, more of that is getting to the bottom line. So it's better for your P&L, it's better for your balance sheet. Now over here, we talked about this previously for a different reason. But here, if I'm showing consistent growth, huge value, huge uptick, I get extra credit checkpoints in the value of my business, not to mention I'm growing my P&L statement, meaning that the value of your assets under management should not only be going up because of market performance. If it's going up because you're running a good business and you're bringing in new clients to the firm and new assets to the firm, that will count higher than a business that's kind of flatlined, or has flatlined with new accounts, new assets, new business, new customers, but is growing because of market performance. So again, I want to grow because of market performance, but I also want to grow because I'm growing my practice. That's the incline that I'm looking for. Better on the P&L, obviously, but also easier to position and market yourself for top dollar down the road when you look to transition out of your business, or you're going to sell to the next gen or sell to an outsider, whatever the case might be. And then finally, this, I kind of already said this. I didn't say it in these same terms, but if you have quality, focused institutional partners, people you can rely on, versus scattering those relationships all over the place. I've got an IMO here. I got a BD there. I got this asset manager and that asset manager there and there and there. I get different custody and all these different things. If you have this stuff scattered all over, you're not getting that administrative support and value we talked about before. You don't have a relationship that you can scale up. Remember, a few moments ago, I talked about how these outside groups, whether you understood it or not, or took the time to give them credit for it or not, they were helping you with administrative burden in your business because you didn't have to go hire people to do all those individual heavy lifted objects. Now it's being done for you as they're managing and helping run those portfolios, and they've got the underlying value of the TAMP platform, and they're bringing other asset managers to the table should you ever need to change up the portfolios and so on and so forth. All of those things, if you are tied in tightly and nicely to a quality institutional relationship, again, one more thing that brings streamlined systems and services, processes into your business, which increases P&L, but also gives you something to market around in terms of the valuation, the balance sheet side of your business, what it's worth to the next person who wants to buy or invest in your business. So keep in mind, I've said it before, I'll say it forever. We're aligned wonderfully. What's best for our P&L is also best for our balance sheet, is also best for our clients. Proper planning for you inside of your practice results in proper planning for your customers as a result of being in relationship with you and your practice. And that is what the Rare Advisor is all about. I hope you like it. I hope you love it. Please give me a thumbs up. Please give us a subscription. And more importantly, tune back in on all the future Rare Advisors. Thank you.